Hola, howdy, hello. Greetings folks, this is Saranyaramurthy. Welcome to the Mind Business. So today, here we are to talk about something that I felt as a realization, but something that I feel many of you might be doing that might actually be one of the reasons for you to have a downtime or for you to feel burnt out. Okay, first of all, ignore all the noises because I'm right here under the sky in the backyard of my home recording this. I am not recording it under a clear, proper, solicited place, and hence kindly ignore any of the dog barking because this is a complete pet-friendly society. Right, so with this being said, let's get started. So, as an entrepreneur or as a solopreneur with a professional expertise or someone who actually runs their things, it is highly prevalent for them to have a list of things to do, right? Even if you're a 9 to 5 professional who's proud of their work, or who is someone, if you're already an employee, but if you also are building something on the side, or this actually suits any person who is hustle friendly. So if you're hustling a lot, there is a higher probability that you will have a to-do list, and you are systematic and you clearly know what to do. So the things are already listed with you. So this is not about having a to-do list also, but the mechanism of having the number of tasks to do in a day. So when you do it repetitively, it kind of becomes a part of your day, right? But let's go back. Go back to a place when you were either in your university or in your college, or back to the days when you just began with your work, or back to the day when you did not want to hustle. Ask yourself what kind of work was there. So today I came across this experience of mine wherein one of my friend who was in her masters sent across her report and asked for my opinion on the management part of it. So that report elaborated about the leadership styles of a well-renowned organization, and I was actually reviewing parts of it just to give her my perspectives. So when I reviewed it deeper, I realized the kind of depth that report had. The way in which I used to do projects when I was in my BTech, when it was completely a solicited place where the only thing in my mind was that, okay, I have a degree to study and this is something that I do. Other than that, I did not have something that is stressing, that had a deadline to it. So at that time, with around 2 to 3 things to do in a day, with around 2 to 3 priorities, the kind of work that was put in was like, okay, these are the work to be done, not tasks to be completed. So the immersiveness and the kind of personal connection that particular work had was actually immense. Fast forward to how my MBA projects were made. So they were like tasks to be ticked off. The reason being, I was already doing my freelancing and my business by then, so I did not want it to consume a lot of time. So if those reports were done from a sole perspective of getting the assignments done, and never from a perspective of this is my work that I'm going to exhibit, because I clearly know I'm not going to exhibit any of them. So the difference that it made was that every work that went out was not a work of its own, but a task that was completed. So this attitude or this kind of perspective created a heavy distinction in the work that was delivered. Everything was like a task that is completed without a heart and soul for itself. Things seems to be hollow. And now coming back to how our to-do lists are placed. When you complete tasks like this in your business, ask yourself how far your business will go. Ask yourself what is the energy that you're putting in. Are you doing it with an urge to finish the things done? I mean, I don't actually say your quality of work will be hampered, because even though I complete around 10 tasks in my business by today, all of it will be done good. The quality of it will be supreme. There is no two things about it. But what about your mental or emotional involvement? Ask yourself, what was the emotional investment that you made in that particular project? Was it just a technical work that was done with supremacy? Or was it just a work that was done when you were involved in that 1 hour of time? Or was it something that you really worked on? So when I realized this, I actually realized for a longer period of time, and me being a productivity wizard by myself, doing everything in the utmost productive way to ensure that I complete around 100 tasks in a day, I have programmed myself or brought myself to a point where I finish tasks one after one and not actually do the work. So this also comes up to a point where, if you see my previous podcast, I have recorded a lot of things, pretty much most of which are actually insightful, which provided a different perspectives for me, because only those things that provided me with a different perspective was what was shared with you. If not, none of this content makes it to this podcast. But even though all of them were insightful for me, I thought about them, or that was a part of my work when I was getting that insight and when I was getting into a podcast. I never had a process, or I never worked on a podcast. Other than just the first time when the first few episodes were made, then I literally had nothing to do much. So if you see, life evolves so much that many times we go by all of these activities subconsciously. We are not even recognizing what we do on a daily basis. I'm not saying this might be a condition with all the entrepreneurs, but I would say predominantly many of them are actually doing this way. Because when I got this realization, I asked myself, okay, Saranya, are you doing it this way? And like I mentioned, guilty as charged. And I also asked a few of my friends, do they feel the same way? And actually, everyone had a spark of realization at that moment, and they confided, maybe yeah, I might be thinking that way, because I just want to have too many things done. I just want to get everything done, don't want to procrastinate things, and I ended up doing things this way. Look, sometimes you might not even know what you're doing, or sometimes you might not even know where the mistake is. And the mistake is not with the quality of the work, but with your emotional involvement. So today, if you're listening to this, you have done yourself the best possible thing that you could have done your whole life. You've actually given yourself that insight to put emotions into actions. To be invested, not just physically, not just intellectually, not just mentally, but emotionally. Because when you actually be invested in an activity, when you do something with too much of you in it, that you factor is what provides a distinction. In a world of too many copies, adding a you to your work is the only thing that can make you special. So with this one thought, I leave you today, and until we meet in the next podcast, have a great day.